Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? I'm actually asking this time, are we live? Somebody tell me in the comment section below if we're live, and then I'll get started here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into us here on Speaking of the Devils. I'm your host, Ryan Novozinsky, joining you, as always, from the media room here at Prudential Center, the site of the New Jersey Devils 3-2 overtime victory over the Nashville Predators tonight. Devils improved to 27-24-2 on the season. And Jack Hughes got injured in the game, and he left he played like 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 27 seconds to be exact. And that's pretty much the only thing that I'm sure that you guys want to talk about tonight. That's why I headlined the episode, what I did tonight, so that we can react and discuss. Here's some of the overreactions. Here's some, the rational reactions. Get a good mix of everything. But I will talk about that when I know that we are live. Before I get to my notes and your guys' comments, we want to thank our friends over at New Spine for sponsoring us here on Speaking of the Devils. With 7 locations, they are New Jersey's leading institute for minimally invasive spine surgery. Live your best life pain-free. Visit newspine.com. That's nu-spine.com to find a location near you. Okay, so let's just start this show off with the latest on Jack Hughes. So Sheldon Keefe came out and said that he doesn't believe this is serious. This is not, it's not considered a serious injury. Or sorry, the words he used was doesn't believe it's a serious injury for Jack Hughes. He said it's a lower body injury, which leads me to believe that he got slashed in the ankle, I think it was, early on in the game. It had to be early on, obviously, because he only played 2 minutes. I forget. I think it was Roman Josi who slashed him, and it was like it wasn't that aggressive. It was just kind of like a little tap. Maybe it was just precautionary that he sat out, but I mean, because he did come back into the game, and then he left again. Both times he left with trainers, so it leads you to believe, like it sends your mind racing, especially when he comes back out, which is a good sign, I guess. But it also might not be, because it's like, okay, it certainly sounds like he's going to miss at least some time. But Sheldon Keefe said that he would confirm or give more details about it whenever the team practices next to see his status for Saturday and everything like that. They play the Ottawa Senators then. So we'll see. I mean, look, at this juncture, we don't know if this is going to be one of those, like I feel like there's fans talk about a lot, like this classic Devils moment where it's like, oh, a guy doesn't have, a guy is just considered day-to-day, a guy's considered short-term injury, and then it winds up ballooning into it being a completely season ender or something crazy like that. I don't know. Like, I don't know that Sheldon would try to inspire hope if he wasn't sure about the exact status of this injury. So that's what leads me to believe that, Sheldon wouldn't come out and say that if he had any inkling that this was going to be long-term. So I believe Jack Hughes is going to be okay. Just kind of reading the tea leaves there. But yeah, I mean, it appeared to happen. Like if for those of you who are confused as to what happened, the only instance that I can see, and I would play the clip if I could, but I don't have the rights to do that. But there's there was a play, I forget exactly when it was. Like the guy that sent me this video didn't have the timestamp, but shout out to David on Twitter for sending me this. It was when the Devils had 10 shots on goal, when the Predators had 3. The Predators were leading 1-0, so obviously this was early on in the first period. But yeah, it's Josi kind of like he just lightly taps his ankle or something like that towards the in like the corner there, and Jack just gingerly skates off. It seemed to be favoring the left side. Again, he only had 3 shifts in the game, I think. 3 shifts, 2 minutes and 27 seconds. His last shift was 56 seconds long at 7:31 of the first period. So that, again, that's the latest on Jack Hughes. We'll see if this ends up being something that again, blossoms into a classic Devils moment where they say it's short-term and then it ends up not being short-term. I don't anticipate that, but we'll see, because I just I don't expect Sheldon Keefe to necessarily like inspire hope and then rip it away. But I digress. Let's get to the game. I only have, I don't have too many notes here, so we'll just skim through these. Michael McCarron scores the first goal of the game. I mean, this was a terrible goal against from Markstrom, who recovered after this one. I will say he definitely recovered after this one. It was Nashville's first shot of the game, no less, and just 5 minutes into the night. So it you thought to yourself, this is going to set the tone for another Markstrom stinker, but obviously that wasn't the case. Devils are able to gut out a win against a Nashville team that can score, and Markstrom finishes the night with .77 saves above expected, and just baseline saves. What did he stop tonight? He stopped 27. 27 just shots that he stopped tonight. All right, then, and just to note too, the Devils have given up the first goal in the game in 30 out of 54 games played this year. That is horrible. The leader of that category is actually the Predators themselves at 35 goals given up. There 35 games where they trail first in a game. But yeah, I mean, the Devils are not far behind them for sure. Just going back to my Jack notes here, like I at first we didn't know like if this was going to be upper body, lower body, or whatever. First, like the first inkling I had was that he took that slap shot in the first period, and I was like, can his hand not handle that? Like that seriously, like that was a serious thought that went through my head. Evidently, we find out it's a lower body injury, so it appears. I bet you it's that ankle or that shin, something like that. But I don't know. I don't think it'll end up being long term again. Dougie Hamilton got a goal, and he tied it up. Dougie Hamilton extends his point streak to 10-game point streak, the longest such streak in the NHL. 10 games since he's been benched, and he's gotten points in every single one of them. Talk about hiking up your trade value. But he diminished said trade value just, I think, one period later when Philip Forsberg scored, and Dougie was completely at fault here. Just flings the puck. He's behind the goal line. Flings it through the zone, and it's intercepted by Nashville at their own blue line. And it's because it was probably the softest clear attempt that you'll ever see. I mean, this is just textbook what you shouldn't do on a clear attempt. It was soft as can be. So this is the Dougie giveth, Dougie taketh away. And the Devils, I mean, tonight, I feel like struggled in general clearing the puck. Like that's just been an issue that has seemingly been plaguing the team for years, but tonight was particularly bad in that regard. And I know I'm going to get to our boy Zach Chin here in a second, who sends the super chat. Please complain about Markey, I dare you. I'm not going to complain about him too much, but I will say, the angle at which Forsberg scored here. Come on, like I'm placing most of this blame on Dougie. Don't get it twisted, but it's not the best angle. It's a pretty sharp angle for a guy to score against, but I digress. I mean, Markstrom had a good game. Jesper Bratt scored after that. He did the unexpected and he finished, right? Like that's been one of the knocks against him this year, especially lately. Filthy mitts work on right here. Just completely just fakes out Annunen. And just lifts the puck and pots one. And again, this is his 40th point of the season. This is a guy that hasn't, has at times struggled to even lift the puck at times. So for him to get this one, and it was really like just a complete all around awesome finesse type of goal. So you love to see that from him. Then they went to overtime. Devils eked out a point, at least in this one. Nico Hischier, 42 seconds in. I mean, this sequence was just awesome. He just rips one home, and he earns the Devil what? I think this was their 27th win on the 28th win. They are 28, 24, and 2, although the standings across the league, or at least in the Eastern Conference, have not changed at all because of the results today. So even when they do win, it's not at opportunistic times, unfortunately for them. But a win is a win. You'll take it. Now let's dive into the comments. All right, we go start here with our friend Zach Chin, who says, please complain about Markey, I dare you. You dare me, Zach Chin there. I almost called you Markey's biggest supporter. I mean, you might be on the guy's payroll at this point, at least his agency's payroll. I mean, look, he had a great game. You got to give it to him there, though the 2 goals against. And it's just look, Zach, it's the fact that this is a guy that's giving him up in the first shot of how many times has it happened this season? I'd have to go back and calculate, but like there's been a crap ton of times this season where Markstrom has given up the first goal in his first ever shot taken. But I digress. Thank you, Zach, for sending the super chat, my man. I appreciate that. And guys, please consider sending some super chats because it helps us. It helps the channel grow. Helps support local journalism. Local journalism is it's at a fork in the road, right? You see what's happening with the Washington Post. You see what's happening with all these other outlets that are stripping their coverage. Stopping sending, their reporters traveling and everything like that, which is a luxury at this point. Support local, and if you guys can send a super chat, it would be a huge help. It sends me on the road more, so let's get that done. Arthur KH, we are live. Awesome. And thank you, Arthur, for just sending the $2 to be supportive. I appreciate that, my friend. We are live indeed, and happy to be so. Rick Roma starts us off with I think that this is a popular sentiment on the fan base right now. Watching Hughes play can be so fun at times, but it's also irritating as well, knowing that he can get hurt at any second. Every time he falls down, you have to hold your breath. It is exhausting. It's sure. I mean, we feel the same pain up in the press box. I mean, there's been a noticeable trend this year where anytime he just spills into the boards or anything like that, anytime he just falls, you're wondering, like, is this going to be the one where he's out for the rest of the season? Like that's you almost have to do it because of his history. And he's not doing much to dispel that notion at all. You have the freak accident earlier this year, which you won't give him too much blame for, I guess, because it's not an on ice thing that happened. But at the same time, you just want your superstar to play, right? Like you don't want him to just get 50 games a year. Like it's unacceptable. It feels like, and you are definitely wincing every time that anything happens to him. Rick Roma, it feels like we have 3 legit centers in the organization, and 2 of them are made of glass. No pun intended. Nico is the only center we have. This is unsustainable. Fire Fitz. The Fire Fitz train seems to be alive and well among the fan base. That's what I've noticed at least as well too. And that's a fair point. I mean, Cody Glass this year, as just as he starts getting comfortable in his game, it seems like you're almost waiting for the injury to happen. Happened a couple times. I mean, earlier this year, he came back. He started playing well for a couple games, a handful of games, and then he was immediately right back out. This time, I mean, he was on a absolute tear. So yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Let us see. Hold on, I'm just gonna pull up some of the natural stat trick just to see how some of these lines fared number wise tonight, because I see a question here that I want to get that in for. Sorry, everybody. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Just technical difficulties there. Devil's Rink Report. Oh, God, the disgusting Jimmy Nichols has chimed in. Peter, you suck. Peter, you suck. Peter, your songs are effing terrible. He's referencing, what is it called? Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that movie, which I've seen, but James Nichols just acts like it's the most quotable movie. I couldn't quote a single line from that movie. I mean, it was okay. It was okay. So, yeah. All right, let's move on. Carter Sweeto. Bro, Jack Hughes always be hurt. He never be on the ice. Yeah, and tonight was particularly comical in that regard. In that, not comical, but he gets injured, he leaves the ice, he comes back out, teases everyone a little bit, and then he exits again. So it's you saw the sequence of my tweets if you follow me on Twitter, where it's Jack Hughes is leaving the ice. Jack Hughes is back on the ice. Jack Hughes just left the ice again. It was a roller coaster of emotions tonight for sure. Tyler Seba, fine goal scoring now. We should not be struggling to put up 3 goals against Nashville. Yeah, especially with Annan in the net too. That's been a problem for the Devils all year. It's the goal scoring. So it's it's not even the Nashville problem. I mean, look, it's the problem of the recent trends. I mean, you're scoring 3 goals. I mean, 3 goals is fine against the Jets, but you're the Jets. I mean, they're 29th in the league, and I know you're playing Hellebuck, but still. Only get 2 against the Kraken. I mean, you get 5 against the Canucks, but that was the anomaly. Then before that, you just had 2 goals, 1 goal, 3 goals, 5 goals, another anomaly. The goal scoring success, or the goal scoring drought, I should say, has been not too fun for the Devils this year. And if I was a Devils fan, I mean, I'd be frustrated as hell. Patrick Booth, Dougie Hamilton got benched, got publicly criticized, was asked to waive his no-trade clause, and came back on fire. We don't have to coddle those players. We can and should have higher expectations. Yes, and that applies to a lot of players. I feel like there's several players that could use a benching on this team to try to spark them, right? Earlier this year, I would have said Bratt. Earlier this year, I would have said Luke Hughes for sure. I mean, maybe the argument is that you don't know how he's going to respond to that. But at this point, you make $9 million a year. You're the highest paid defenseman right there with Dougie. you got to start playing like it. So, and I know he's injured right now, but I would have said that earlier this year, and I did say that earlier this year that Hughes should have probably been benched. Gleason says, "Imagine thinking we're ever going to survive 4 rounds with the Hughes brothers." It's a valid concern. It's a completely valid concern. I'm sitting there in the booth tonight, and much like any other night, you're just wondering, like the fact that we didn't even know first brush, like what happened to Jack, just that kind of in itself proved that you knew it was something that wasn't exactly hard, right? Like you knew it was kind of soft, right? Let's face it. And then if it's the play that I think it was, and I'm sure someone's posted it on Twitter or something like that right now, it was incredibly soft. So it's valid to wonder if your team is going to survive a core built around Jack Hughes, and he's a completely special, talented player. There's no doubt, but no one's denying that. But it's the health. I mean, when you only get him for 50 some odd games a year, I mean, it takes the wind out of your sails. Michael Gabriel, okay, I'm really confused. What exactly happened? Again, yeah, we don't know the exact specifics of what happened, but it looked like there was a little slash from Roman Yossi early in the first period. I have to look. I'm gonna maybe watch them again to see if there's anything else I can glean. But at least like what we saw in the broadcast, that's what and just watching in general, that's what I suspect it was. And if it is that, I mean, it's a softie. You guys will see. D. Hurwitz Esquire, need Glass or Jack back fast or season is done. Yeah, I mean, look, like no matter how you shake it up, I mean, the center depth in this team it's like they have some centers that can play, but it's as I think Rick Roma said before, you have the centers, but at the same time, you don't know if they're going to stay healthy, and that's a huge concern. So, again, like you said it best, D. Hurwitz. Like if Glass and Jack are miss any sort of portion of time here, especially while the standings stay so tight, it is not good. And actually, Daniel Amoya has a very intriguing stat right here. This is Daniel Amoya of the Hockey Writers. We're gonna screen share this right now just to give him some credit. This is ridiculous. NJ Devils star Jack Hughes has missed 103 of 506 games in his career, over 20%. With their playoff hopes already slim, Devils and their fans will hope that 103 does not turn into 104 plus. They certainly don't, Daniel, and that is a jarring stat. Jack Hughes has missed 20% of his the available games that he could play in the NHL. That's not good. Let's move on. Patrick Booth, the game was fun. Love winning. We still need to rebuild. This core isn't it. Nico, Bratt, and Mercer should be on the block. Jack and Luke, trade value does not equal actual value, so keep them. Look, if the season keeps trending the way that it is, and I know you won tonight, but before that, things were ugly, and they have been ugly this year. And the expectations should be way higher at this point. At this point of the rebuild, like the post rebuild, especially the post Shiro years and everything like that. The expectation should be way higher. And if they're not raised, and if you look at this season and say this core can't do it, then you do have to make some serious considerations about shaking up the core. There's no doubt about that. Because you just don't know. Like again, like I love Nico Hischier, the player. Like I think that he's he could be a great player on a cup team. I really do. And he's not the one I would trade. But you have to start wondering, like, if these losing ways keep happening, like is he gonna be is he going to want to resign? I mean, you got to wonder that, right? Bratt, I mean, it's I know he's inked long term, but he goes quiet whenever Jack Hughes goes out of the lineup. So it's and for so many stretches this year, he was just downright bad. So look, I think that there's going to be serious. There's going to be evaluations for everybody this offseason, the GM, down to the coach, down to the coaching staff, all across the board. There should be evaluations for this organization, top to bottom, and the players certainly fit that mold as well. Chico Tazo, a pointless win. Isles won, so they made up no ground, and they looked as bad as they have since the 8-game win streak. Squeaking out a win versus the Preds is going to delay the necessary firings. That's one way to put it. I don't necessarily disagree with you. Like, I'm not saying the Devils should go all out and tank. Like, obviously you don't do that, especially when, like there are jobs on the line here. They're not going to go out and do that. But you're right in that they didn't gain any ground in the standings. The standings stayed completely the same. And it just feels like at this point, it feels like it's going to be a long, slow grind towards the end of the season where the team is just going to be on the outside looking in. And that's the unfortunate reality, but that's the way this team has played. All right, guys, that'll do it for tonight's show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into us here on Speaking of the Devils. For your host, Ryan Novozinsky, and everybody here at NJ.com, the people that helped me set up this show, and to all our super chatters. Special thanks to you guys. Special thanks to New Spine. Special thanks to all of you for tuning in. I will talk to you Saturday. Have a good day. Bye-bye.